Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to another talk show, Coffee with Mickey Live, today with Cirrus Migration. So, today our topic of discussion is what can you do to make your visa application look better. So, we're talking about the GTE, what we call a genuine temporary entrant criteria for applying a student visa for Australia. Okay, so we'll go deep into it on based on every topic that needs to be covered for a GTE criteria for student visa. I would like to first of all congratulate all our 4 clients who got their visa grant this week. So congratulations to our students, our clients who have put their trust in me, in my company, ourselves here at Cirrus Migration team. Heartiest congratulations to them and welcome to Australia. If you're not here already, you will be here soon. So you'll be starting your education and your career here in Australia very soon. So going further, we'll start with the eligibility criteria for a student. So you must focus on what is the eligibility criteria. Don't try to cut corners and say, look, I've got this academic background. Do I fall into this course I can do for permanent residency, rather than going for the specific course which has got relevance to your previous education and your work experience. So when we talk about relevancy is very important when the immigration decision makers, the officers, look into your case file and say, hey, what are you doing? So somebody has been doing Bachelor's of Commerce overseas and they want to come here for a Bachelor's of Nursing. So you tell me, does it make sense? Is there a good reason? If there is, yes, very good. You can apply for a Bachelor's of Nursing or a Master's of Nursing. But if you don't have a good reason to provide, or you just want to say that, okay, because of COVID, there are a lot of jobs available and the PR pathway is very convenient and easy for Australia for nurses because it's in demand nowadays, that's not gonna be enough for the eligibility criteria to be fulfilled for your future education. So you might get a refusal. So how can you improve your chances for a student visa application for Australia? A lot of comments actually I've seen on Facebook pages, study pages for Australia from a lot of offshore students wanting to inquire, asking questions to each other. I go on those websites and I have a quick peep around to see what the interest is of the students and what are they asking, what kind of questions are they asking. So a lot of them inquire about their PTE or English results, which are a little lower than what they expected to be to meet the eligibility criteria. Let's say, for example, for a bachelor's, the PTE or IELTS requirement is 6, no less than 5.5 in most of the bachelor courses, other than some of the courses which require 7 in each. So somebody who's got a 6 and has got a lowest score of 5, I see comments, can I get admission in any courses, can I get away with a 0.5 score? So even if you do find a college or a university, it's hard to find a university who will go below the eligibility requirement, or you might look at going for a diploma leading to a bachelor's just because you got a lower score. But does that mean that is it gonna be good enough for the Department of Immigration? Are they gonna look at it positively that, okay, you did not meet the requirement for the bachelor's, so you went for a diploma? You got to make the decision yourself. So maybe you want to look at retaking the test and reach that eligibility requirement for English and make sure you apply directly into a bachelor's, unless you're going for a course which basically does not interfere with your time duration. So it does not harm the time duration that is gonna affect the total duration of the course. So it's a leading course. Say for example the bachelor's is 3 years, but you take the diploma leading to bachelor's and you still complete it in 3 years, fair enough. So you're not harming the duration of the course. You're not spending extra time. So the longer the duration is going to be, the more not negatively but more effect it's going to have on your visa application, that you're coming to Australia to study a bachelor course which usually takes 3 years, but you're going to take 4 to 5 years to complete the same course. So that could be one of the reasons they look at it not in a positive way, but most of the times they won't mention it directly into your refusal, because that is something in the background that is happening. You don't meet the eligibility criteria, but they might assess it on the basis of your GTE, where they will say assessment criteria is not met, and they not show whether you are a genuine student for study in Australia. So what is a genuine student? Genuine student is a student who has maybe recently completed year 12 A levels, year 12 equivalent to Australia, and who wants to come to Australia to study a bachelor's. Could be leading from a diploma course or a certificate level course into a diploma, or a diploma into a bachelor's, or somebody who's completed a bachelor's degree and want to come here to study a master degree, or a postgrad diploma, or a postgrad certificate, or a PhD, for instance. They're all genuine students. Yes, your intention is to come to Australia to study and go back to your home country after you have finished your education, right? So gaps, yes, gaps can be there. We've had great success in covering gaps for students, showing genuine reasons why they have a gap because of COVID. But what did these students do during those gaps to make it more effective and more efficient for the gap, to show that they have covered it in a way that they got some experience, they did some volunteer work, so they helped their parents in the business, or maybe they started something rather just to enhance their skills. So what kind of skills can you enhance while you having a gap in your education because of COVID? Could have been anything, could have been a volunteer work at an NGO, could have been volunteer work at a church, or a temple, or you've helped people with in temples making food for the needy, or could have been helping your father or your mother in their business, or maybe you helped yourself on the social media to develop social media skills, for example. So gap cover is very important. Don't just leave your gap there and say, hey, it was COVID and I didn't do anything. That does not make any sense to me here. So yes, focus on your gap covers, so it does not look good on your application. Get some advice, get some professional advice from a professional who knows about the industry, who has been doing student visas. They would know, have more knowledge, because they have seen approvals, grants, and refusals. I would not say nobody has seen refusals. Everybody who works in this industry sees visa refusals. So with the visa refusals, you get more knowledge, more depth knowledge. What happened, what went wrong, so how you can improve from those refusals. So take examples of the refusals rather than approvals, because the visa grant does not necessarily show you why this visa was granted, but there might have been criteria that have been met, and the case officer or the delegate has just granted the visa, but they will never give you a reason, what was the reason behind the grant. So behind the refusal, yes, there's always a reason mentioned in the refusal letter why this visa was refused in detail, and we learn from our experiences, which is a good thing, and we try to educate our students for the future to make sure these don't happen again. But there's no guarantee of having another refusal in the future. Nobody can guarantee that. So we'll try to focus on things that we can improve, and I'm gonna talk about the next topic here. We've discussed about relevance, we discussed about gaps, we discussed about PTE and IELTS. So make sure you meet your eligibility criteria for PTE and IELTS before applying for the visa. So if you are from a level 2 country and you're applying into a level 1 college, assessment level 1 college or university, you may not be required to show your English proficiency and your financial capacity, but at the same time it is a good idea to provide evidence of both anyhow. So avoid your refusals, show evidence of funds, because that is a grant eligibility, grant criteria for the student visa, that you have to provide financial evidence and English evidence. The immigration department might not ask you in the checklist, but you must, my advice is you must provide both. Excuse me. When it comes to financial capacity, so we'll talk about finance. So find out from your agent, find out from the department website, give us a call if you want to discuss it with us, how much is required to provide funds. If you find that, let's say for example, the fund requirement for the course that you are going for, including your living expenses, and your partner is coming with you, is an example of 45,000 Australian dollars. So don't just show 45,100 Australian dollars to prove that you got enough sufficient funds to support yourself. What they want to look at is, do you have enough financial ties back home in your country? If you have $100 in your pocket and your expense is $100, and you show that you have got $100, you meet the eligibility criteria, what are you gonna do with $0 when you go back home? Okay, so always show in excess, funds in excess for your family to survive when you're gone. So if your family has got a $45,000 deposit and you show that's all we have and this is what the requirement is, no, it's not enough. According to me, it's not enough. Yes, you meet the eligibility criteria, but you do not meet the criteria of good economic and financial ties back with your home country. I hope you understand where I'm coming from, but if you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the live chat box, or if I am not here, if this live session is finished, please put your comments in still and we will try to reply back to your comments as soon as we can. Okay, so I've got a question here. I'll quickly take that question if it is going to be related to today's discussion. Moreno, I am going to graduate in 1 month, Masters of Business Analytics. Do I require to do a professional year to apply for my 485 visa? Do I need skill assessment? Master courses for 485 visa, you don't need a PY to apply for the 485 visa. Yes, you're good to go without a skill assessment and a professional year you can only do on your 485 visa. So yes, you can apply for your 485 visa, go for it. All you need is an overall 6 and other character and health requirements, and you should be able to go for your 485 visa as long as you've got 92 weeks of study on your Masters of Business Analytics course that you finished, and it should be from a Cracos registered provider, and you must have completed a certain duration of the course while in Australia. So check those requirements with us. If you are not sure, you can always send in your academic documents and we can check if you are eligible and get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you. I hope that answers your question, Mon. Going back to fund requirements. Okay, so as we discussed, funds, how much we can show as much as you can. Who can show the funds? Okay, that's a very, very tricky question. It does not mention anywhere like exactly if your uncle can show it, or your brother can show it, or your sister can show it, or you can show it for yourself, or your parents. Of course, parents, yes, they're the first source of money, when it comes to the children's education. They can obviously show funds for you. So your mother, father, stepfather, stepmother, they all your parents, so they are always able to show funds for you. Then source for other resources. If it is your auntie, your mother's sister, what is the reason why she's showing funds for you, so what is her interest in showing funds for you? Is it just showing funds because you know that you're not going to use those funds anyway? That is not good enough reason, because Australia does not require them to deposit the money into the account like Canada, so you can show money from anyone and just get a letter knowing that they're not going to use the funds, so it doesn't matter. But yes, it does matter because it's not relevant. So why your auntie is showing funds for you? What is the source of income? So you got to make relevance. Write that in your GTE, why she's showing funds for you. What is the reason behind it? Come up with a good reason. Is there a genuine reason why she's showing funds for you? I had a client earlier on last month who said that, my uncle is going to be showing funds for me, and my uncle is the one who's been supporting my family financially since the time I lost my father in an accident. So heartfelt, but that's the truth. And I asked for the evidence. So he said that my uncle paid for my tuition fees at school, at college, and he's been supporting me financially, so he's gonna be the ones showing funds for me. So good, excellent reply from that student. So yes, we will use uncle's funds to be shown. Or is there any other reason behind it why uncle or auntie is showing, or your grandfather or grandmother is showing funds for you? Because you've been inherited property from them, or you are the only sole grandson or granddaughter, and they're going to be supporting you financially because everything is going to be inherited to you eventually. So that is a good reason why a grandfather or grandmother would be showing funds for you. The next point here we will be discussing is source of funds, which is very important. Okay, you might gather funds from here, there, everywhere, and you can show that, okay, I have got 50,000 Australian dollars in fixed deposit. I put it in a fixed deposit 3 months ago. Now they're ready. They're old. They're 3 months old. That is the requirements. That's the eligibility criteria. But at the same time, you might want to look at the source of those funds. How did you manage to save $50,000 if you do not have a supportive income to support your claim for that $50,000? So that could be a reason for your visa refusal as well, that suddenly I've got $50,000 in my account, but where did that money come from? So read your GTE. Maybe there's an agent overseas who's writing your GTE, but it's never a bad idea to look into that GTE, read it properly, and say, pick up some points. Hey, can you add this? Can you write this? Can you write this? In good means, you should be writing your own GTE and giving it to the agent to review. Okay, so see, this is what I've written. What do you think I can add or delete or subtract? Can you assist me? Okay, so if they are assisting you, they might be liable to put a 956 form in the department's website when applying for the visa, but that's not the point of discussion right now. So we'll stick to the source of funds. So try to find a source of that money that you have. Maybe a sale of property in the past, or sale of motor vehicle in the past, or superannuation, or show some income. Evaluate the tax returns of your parents, your grandfather, and use that as a gift to you from others, anywhere you have been in relation to that funds. If you could find anything that has come through. I hope everyone can hear me clearly. If you're not able to hear me clearly, excuse us for the noise outside. There's a construction site next to us today, but I hope it's all good. But as I said earlier, please ask questions, as many questions as you like. No question is a stupid question. So if you need to ask any questions at any time, please feel free to ask the questions. I'll be more than happy to answer. Or get in contact with us at the numbers below here, or our email address, our WhatsApp, or even through our website. Even if you go to our website, cirrus.com.au, and you can just click on contact us and we'll get an email straight away from our website. And we do respond to our inquiries, most of them, at all times. If it is irrelevant inquiry from an unknown source about something that is not even relevant to our migration process, then it's a different story. Okay, about finance. Lastly, I would like to add, you must check how old your funds are. In a good scenario, it should be at least 3 months old, the finances that you're showing as fixed deposit. If it is in a savings or the current account, no problem. Okay, I wouldn't say it has to be 3 months old, dead set, sitting at that level. It could go up and down, but you might want to add at least 6 months of bank statement to show evidence of the funds being used and put in. So a transaction history is more important if your funds are recent in your saving accounts. But giving you an example, like if you got a savings account and you are in India and you've got 40 lakh rupees today in your savings account, but if you go back into your saving account a month old, there was only 10,000 rupees, so that does not make sense. Yes, if a month before that there was 35 lakh rupees and then it went down to 10,000 rupees and then it gradually came back up to 40 lakh rupees, yes, that is a transaction history that can be considered. So it does not have to sit at 40 lakhs or 35 lakh rupees for a long time, but the transaction history showing that you have always had a similar balance in the account is okay. So that can be proved in relevance. Okay, so last but not the least, I'm gonna discuss the 3 points which is very important when we're talking about a GTE. Most of the refusals come back to these 3 relevant points. Okay, that is ties to your home country, economic, financial, and family ties. Okay, so we'll talk about these 3 ties. What are family ties? They want to see that you have immediate family back in your home country who are waiting for you to come back. If you can prove any extra evidence to show that they need you back in the home country after you finish your studies, that is excellent. Family ties. Okay, secondly, economic ties with your home country. What are economic ties? Economic ties are properties that might be in your family's names or your names, even better, or property in your grandmother's name that is going to be inherited to you. So a letter, a will, copy of the will, or a letter from the grandfather that he's my grandson or granddaughter and the property belongs to you. That is an economic tie. Lastly, ties to your home country, like if you have financial ties to your home country, your bank balance, your evidence of funds in your parents' accounts or your own account, or a job that might be on offer, or a business that your parents or your family owns that you're gonna go back and join the business. That is more of financial and economic ties that they're looking for. So if you can focus some light on those ties more in your GTE and don't let them get around it and give you a refusal based on that because you've already covered everything, that'll be great. Okay, so that's what they want to look at when you're writing a GTE. So lastly, I would like to cover before I leave is your academic. What have you done? What kind of research you have done to prove that you want to study this course, specifically that course, and why do you wish to study this course in Australia? So which is very important. Okay, so they want to see that you are not just applying for this course because your agent suggested you. This is an agreement I have with a college or a university in Australia. If you want to go to Australia, I can only advise you this university, this college. I guarantee you admission. I will get you admission and you pay the fees and you can go to Australia. No, So this is what they're trying to avoid. So that is not a genuine intention of a student to go to Australia, is because my agent suggested me this course and that is the only agreement he has. No. So what they're looking for exactly is, okay, you're going through an agent, that's fine, but have you done enough research on this course? Why did you want to go to this university in particular? Is it the only offer you could get? Is that the reason? That's not good enough. Okay. So they want to see that while applying for this student visa on a particular course, have you done enough comparison? Okay, it's always good to compare 3 different universities or colleges with similar, if not exactly the same, with similar courses, with similar course materials, and show what research you have done to find out the difference between the 3 courses. Okay, one might be different to the other. Not all 3 courses are exactly identical, so there must be some differences. Why did you pick that course in that particular university? That's what you need to focus on and explain. Reasons could be geographic, it could be financial between the 2 or 3 courses that you picked up, but focus on that I only wanted to do this course. Or maybe you can show a comparison between the 2 courses. Say for example, Masters of Business Administration and Masters of Business Information Systems. They are not similar identical courses but close to each other, because both give you business knowledge, but one gives you more IT knowledge than business, economics and leadership. So you could differentiate between the 2 courses on the basis of the course structure and what the outcome is going to be of those courses when you graduate from this course, between the 2 courses, and which one you prefer. Simple as that. So give your heartfelt feelings out on paper. That's all they want to see, okay, in your genuine temporary entrant request or application, or in an essay format. Thank you very much, guys. I hope this was helpful for you today, and if you like this session today, don't forget to subscribe and like to our Facebook page or subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll be back tomorrow again with Mr. Isuru Yapa for more live updates on the immigration policies, or any updates for long-term visas and business visas. Around the same time tomorrow here, we'll be live on Cirrus Migration YouTube channel or the Facebook page again. And don't forget, if you like it, hit the like button. Thank you very much for your time today, and I'll hopefully see you again next week.